Hello everyone, Ruth here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a special video. As you can see, this is being filmed through Zoom. And today I am talking to Mrig here. And Mrig is the CEO and founder of FunnelDen. She is a content strategist and growth consultant for specifically SaaS businesses. She helps them grow using user-based growth strategies, and she's worked all the way from startups to venture-based companies and established companies. So she has a lot of very varied experience. And the funny thing is, we met because she watched a few of her videos. I don't know if you're a subscriber or not. It's okay if not, but she watched a few of the videos, she sent us a message, and then I had a look in her LinkedIn and saw that she has a lot of really good input that I thought would be great value for this channel. So here we are to talk. Mrig, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yay, thank you, Ruth, for having me here. I'm so excited about this. I mean, I always was a viewer of your channel, watched all of your videos, found the content very insightful and helpful. And it feels surreal, now that I'm here and even sharing my experience.
I'm really glad you're here because, to be honest, me and Eric, we share our point of view from the company that we have, from the products that we've grown. But I think because you worked with a lot of different companies in different fields, in different sizes, then your point of view of marketing and product growth is really, it's much more varied. And I think it could be a great asset for people who are looking to kind of figure out how to grow their own company and product. So before we actually jump in, can you tell us a little bit about your experience? I saw some of the companies you worked for or worked with, but I think it would be much more valuable if you tell us a little bit about your own journey, how you got into this space, and how you got into starting your own business, instead of me just going over it.
Sure, Ruth. So I started back in 2017. So there was this Times challenge in the country that used to happen, a writing competition where everyone used to participate and have their submissions. And lucky me, I was the one who got selected as the Times Group writing champion. And that's when I really decided to take my writing seriously. I thought that I was always a big fan of reading and writing. And so I thought that one day, that this is going to happen, that I'll write the next Stephen King book and launch it and be successful. So I did write my book, but I realized that there's so much more that goes into publishing a book or marketing it or bringing it to the audience, that, just knowing, understanding storytelling is not enough. So I finished the book, reached out to a lot of publishers, got rejected by all of them, and decided to, go down this path of marketing the book myself, self-publishing it. But I was still very early in my career, just out of college. I decided to learn digital marketing. And in the process of learning marketing, I realized that, writing a book is not the only way you can earn money. Or make a career. I realized that you can put out your own content, maybe do blogs, and there's this whole big world of, where you can publish content and get feedback and write on stuff that's not just stories, but also a lot of other things, your experiences, even maybe help other companies incorporate all that storytelling inside of their own brands. That's where I started. I started with a US company that sold marijuana, both for recreational and medicinal purposes. I started digital marketing for them, and that's where I started. And then from there on, I worked with a lot of SaaS brands, worked with a lot of content marketing agencies, writing content for some very big names in the industry. And now I have my own freelancing and consulting business.
That's awesome. I have to say, we have, for those of you who don't know, we have a little doc of the questions that we're going to ask that we send people before the interview, just to make sure that all the questions are in the right direction, something that the person feels comfortable talking about. And in your specific answers, you can kind of see your love for writing. Like, I could really see from the way you write that you tell a story with your words, that you could manage to convey a tone. That is not something that everyone manages to do. So I think that you can really feel it from your answers. I'm also a closeted writer, by the way. Like, I used to write a lot of short stories when I was younger, and then you kind of lose it as you grow. So I really I really connect with that journey of like finding a way to take something that you love that is creative and turning it into something that is business oriented and that can kind of make money and not just be a creative. So that's really cool. What would you say?
Writing in itself is a very cathartic experience, right? You write every day, you let out those thoughts on paper.
Definitely. And it's just another way to express yourself. It's kind of like doing a YouTube video where you get to express your thoughts. Same thing with writing. It's just you get a little more time and opportunity to kind of convey that in an organized way and not just off the top of your head. So I would love to know what you feel is the biggest thing that maybe stopped you from succeeding in the beginning or kind of made it more difficult to succeed when you started your own business, whatever it is, mindset or skills or anything you feel was your biggest hurdle in the journey.
Sure. So I think there is a way society, tells us that you're going to do this, you're going to take up a job, you're going to work hard at it, then you're going to make money, and then that's going to be it. Then probably, especially in India, you'll get married and you'll have a life after that. But really, I think the biggest hurdle at the start of my career was, just having, I guess, if I could go back and say one thing to my younger self, it would be like, don't be so afraid of the future, experiment as much as you can. And at the start of your career, I mean, it's good to try out as many different things as you can rather than just picking something up and then not taking risks and just being in a safe and secure job or position or whatever it is.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that for me too, I worked in high tech before I started the company with Eric. So I remember when I first quit, my parents were very worried. Like, you have a safe job, it's safe, why are you taking a risk? Honestly, everything in life is risks. Like that's the only way to really grow as a person. Forget about business for a second. Anything you want to do that you haven't done before would be a risk for you. So I think it's a really important lesson. Did you
Absolutely.
Did you feel that you had a specific difficulty with taking risks, or is it just like a cultural thing of where you are at and the messages you were getting from around you? What did you feel like was stopping you?
So it was both a cultural thing, and I feel like my experiences were also so yes, it was a cultural thing, and also kind of the way I was raised. I was not in a position early on in my career where I could just maybe take on a lot of risks, at least financially. I had to get to a point first where I could be okay, maybe not working on anything for 3 or 4 months, and having that amount of money to sustain myself till the time I'm like figuring out things and not doing anything or not working on a job. So I guess it was both. Over a period of time, again, I self-educated myself and about the things that you can do alongside your job. And from there, maybe started this journey of, freelancing. So while I was running a full-time job and a part-time job also, I also started freelancing. Thanks to COVID, I mean, I had a lot of free time, and really the time it took for me to like travel from home to my office, all of that was cut down. So I had a lot of spare time. So I started freelancing. And there was a time where both my full-time and my part-time jobs income combined was less than what I was earning with my freelancing job. So at that time, I decided, okay, time to call it quits.
That's amazing.
So I was saying, most people think that, it's like this thing where you have an idea and then you frustrated with your job and you quit and it just happens. No, that's not the way it really works. I really did not have any space to breathe for 3 or 4 months while I was like running a full-time job, a part-time job, and also my freelancing business. But again, it happens over a period of time, and not like most people on the internet show you, or those ads on internet maybe that tell you that, hey, come join our course and in 1 week we're going to teach you to become the next millionaire or whatever it is.
Yeah. Or like, do this and in 1 month you're going to be like rich and make 10K a month. That's just not realistic. And I think I have 2 things mainly that popped up for me. First of all, I think COVID has been really difficult for a lot of us mentally, not just physically. A lot of people had a really depressing time staying at home, not being able to see as many people. And the fact that you took it and kind of leveraged that to self-growth and to business growth, I think it's amazing. It just shows what determination can do. And then you found the time and just decided to go for it. So that's really admirable. And I think also just something that can be learned from that is that if you do have an idea for something you want to do, you don't have to go all in and burn your bridges, which is another kind of entrepreneurship myth. You have to burn your bridges to get it done. But honestly, what you did is you started out as a freelancer to kind of gain real direct to customer experience, as well as just kind of validate that you can run it by yourself, you can do it by yourself, you can get customers, and then it makes the decision to actually switch to full-time your own business much easier. So I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so interesting that you mentioned that, COVID at a time where, the world was going through so many challenges, and like really seeing hope at that time. I mean, even finding business at that time when everybody was thinking to cut down expenses and everything. I think the philosophy that I used that time of, not like going out to people and doing outbound sales, but really providing value to people and helping out as much as possible is something that I've still used with all of my clients. And in fact, that's what I do. I help B2B SaaS companies in particular with a lot with inbound marketing. So I think, give, and then make the ask. I mean, the thing that Gary Vee says, I think I've taken that, and that's really the thing that's allowed me come so far.
I love that. That's definitely something that I believe in too. Like the moment you try to sell on the first interaction with a person, you come out very spammy or very shady. I just instantly mistrust people who do that. I really think that if you give a lot of information and value for free, then people would want to work with you. I never fully understand the people who kind of gatekeep they tease for all the information they have, but they actually gatekeep the information behind some sort of paid wall, which is, I think it's a miss. So yeah, I love that. I think we kind of think the same way about these things. And then maybe you've already mentioned that, but I would love to know also what you feel is the thing that helped you succeed the most when you decided to go forward and start your business.
Sure. So I think one thing that really helped me in the process is realizing early on that there isn't as much competition as you think. One advice that I give to a lot of founders also starting now. So when you have a good idea and when you know that your approach to doing something is very different or slightly different from what the entire market is moving towards or doing, or you found some potential gap and you want to share that idea, you feel like, oh, everybody you're talking to somehow knows that idea already and they need to steal it from you. But somebody who's been in entrepreneurship for a while really also understands that ideas are not that important. It's execution that matters. So I think like just having that in mind that, it's execution that's more important. Ideas will come and go. If you just like keep going on the next trending thing, I mean, that's not going to take you very far. So just focusing on execution, and getting up every day and doing the hustle and the grind is something that's really allowed me succeed. I mean, again, that definition also of what is to succeed varies for everybody, but I think like whatever I have done, whatever little I've done so far, I think that's the thing that's helped me a lot.
I think, first of all, about succeeding, it really is an individual definition, but as long as you have this business that you're happy with, that you're growing, that you actually manage to stabilize and get customers, in my book, that's a success. Yeah. We can talk a little bit about goals and stuff if you want later, because that's also interesting. But I just wanted to say about the whole point of hiding your ideas so people don't steal them. I really, really connect with that because I have gotten to talk to a lot of friends who want to become founders and who have an idea and they kind of tell me in secret or don't even want to tell me and like don't spread it around because someone would steal my idea. And the thing is, a lot of the times the idea is already out there. It's not really something new. Like most of the ideas have been done by now.
Totally.
Yeah. The special thing is your execution, like you said, but also how do you differentiate yourself from the competition, from the market? Because you will have competition. Even if you are going into an area that is a completely blue ocean where there isn't a whole lot of competition, they will eventually come. Or maybe there's something similar that answers the need that you want to answer. So you really need to learn how to differentiate yourself from competition. We've really seen it in our products, the ones that we have a very clear value statement of This is what we do different from our competitors. This is why you should choose us. They go so much faster than the ones where it's kind of on the gray area and it's not clear if it's given enough value. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, when your message and offer really has to be polarizing, it has to be very specific, and it can't just be for everybody. So totally agree on that. And the thing that you just mentioned, that you really need to have a differentiated product in the market, is very important. So when I say that there isn't as much competition as you think, I mean, when you're taking the right approach, when you're focused on your product and your customers, only then can you first of all figure out that differentiation and figure out, okay, what is it that makes you stand out? And for me, the thing of, even differentiating your product comes under execution of, talking to customers, gathering those qualitative and quantitative insights, and then figuring out, what is unique about your product and customers, or maybe, what is so unique about your product that customers are finding valuable, and what is it that makes you stand out of the competition.
Exactly. I agree. And if you are afraid of telling people your idea, then you can't talk to customers. You can't do your market research, and then you're not executing. It's kind of like it comes together. Yeah. How long have you been running your company for now?
For about 3-4 years.
3-4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. That's like, what are your current goals, you would say, for 2022 with the company? Are you looking to grow for more customers or find the bigger customers? What are the things you're aiming for?
So I think we already are at a revenue stage where we are doing very well. We are looking to more transition towards a digital product service where we can, deliver the transformation with our services and offers at a larger scale. So we are testing out a product that we are doing at the moment with 7 founders, and we are also testing it out with 10 different B2B marketers. So one is exclusively for founders, and one is for other marketers, and just helping them in their role and understanding the strategy bits, and we can maybe talk more about, you just mentioned that somebody gets on the call for the first time and all you do is make the sale. Very often, the thing that B2B marketers are doing right now is also a form of digital sales. They're not actually doing marketing in the sense that they're only capturing demand by trying to give their ebooks, creating content, asking people to fill out the forms. Again, that's a different discussion. But right now, we are focused more on sort of transforming our services more from like entirely done for you to more of done with you services.
And then it would be more self-service, and you don't have to actively be engaged with each client, but they can kind of go for the digital service that you offer.
Correct. So it's 60% of it is given and 40% of it is customization. So the founders can come to the program. They can go through all the modules and understand everything that we've created. So one problem that I saw with early stage SaaS founders is they don't truly get marketing or understand what are the different elements involved. You still need to know marketing and be dangerous enough to at least know who can be a good CMO or marketing person for your company. So just helping them understand what are the different elements and how they can do it. Now they don't have to necessarily go and execute everything on their own. So we've also tied up with a Philippines company that offers virtual assistants. So we again do a mix of outbound and inbound. Everything about inbound is given in the program. With the outbound services, that's sort of an extension of the program. Like I said, the 40% customization. So we map out their offer, or we help them understand how to run customer interviews. The founder can do the interviews, and then they get virtual assistants to help them do a lot of outbound sales.
That sounds awesome. That's like a way to reach more smaller customers maybe that couldn't usually work with you, and then make it more worth your while for the customers that you do the customization for. That's that's really interesting. And we can give a link to your website down below if any of our viewers want to check it out. That's definitely sounds like an interesting offer for some of our customers. From your experience working with different startups and companies in different sizes, let's start with the smaller ones. For beginner startups, what are the growth tactics or marketing tactics that you've seen working for them for a cheaper price? Because usually they don't have as much budget.
Right. So I think whether you're a small company or a big company, you have to build a community. In 2022, I mean, there is no escaping it. So if you're a solo early stage bootstrapped founder, I mean, the first thing that I always tell them is go build a community. Find people, find your tribe. I mean, go look look for people who know, who can, I mean, be passionate about the thing that you're building. A group of people who know, like, and trust you. And again, like I mentioned, are passionate about the thing that you're building. So you can do this on any social media channel, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever works for you. Find out where your ideal customers hang out. We recently ran a Reddit ad for one of our customers. It worked wonderfully well. Nobody's really looking into that. So again, find out where your customers are, and I mean, try to add value and build a community of people around that. That's always tactic number one. The second thing that I recommend is, so when you're just starting out, I mean, started with the process of coding, build in public while you're building your MVP. At the same time, focus on building the community. That's going to like really help, because even when you're launching on places like Product Hunt, Indie Hackers, AppSumo, all of those spaces are very competitive, and it's wrong to assume that you'll just, once you're done with your MVP, one fine evening, you'll just launch and then you're going to have this big product. You also need people off of the platform, unless you're building something very exceptional. You need people off of the platform who are again going to push your product inside of those platforms, help you rank, and again get more exposure. So launch on places like Product Hunt, Indie Hackers, AppSumo, all these different places. That's again step one. From 0 to 10K MRR, the thing that we usually focus on is the same principle that you've used when you're launching on these different platforms. So you don't have an audience of your own. So that's why you come to all these different communities and launch your product. So we use the same principle. So once you're done with launching your product in all these different places, look at collaborations, look at, places where you can go and again, find out places where your ideal customers hang out and start publishing content there and adding value. So there was this client of ours called Listnr. So Listnr was a text-to-speech solution, and they offered TTS services only for creators. But their messaging just said, best voiceover solution or text-to-speech services, AI voiceover solution that's there in the market. And that wouldn't work. That's way too generic. I mean, there are so many others out there. So we really ran a customer interview surveys for their audience and realized that there are two categories of people. One who used the platform for doing more of what they are passionate about. So these are creators who would probably convert their blog post into audio format and want to embed it inside of the blog. And then there was the second category of people who used it more for business purposes. So converting maybe their scripts into some other language and sending it to customers. And based on where the product wanted to be somewhere down the line and based on what made more business sense, we went with the first category of people. So first of all, we fixed the messaging and offer of client. Now, once we were clear that we were going behind creators, so now the messaging had turned from just being a AI voiceover solution to helping creators do more of what they are passionate about using the AI solution. Mm-hmm. Then what we did was we found out 2 to 3 different creator communities where a lot of these creators were hanging out. And then we wrote strategic blog posts that were around, hey, how can you do something as simple as, convert your blog post into audio format and get 10 times the exposure that you have right now. And just that, drove a lot of signups for the product. Again, leveraging other platforms where your target audience hangs out, figure out a way to add value and at the same time get your product some traction. So doing guest posts, appearing on podcasts, that's one way. Another way is doing vanity marketing. So I mentioned that, you need to build a community. Once you have some sort of traction, what you can do is you can also invite other influencers, other popular personalities on your platform and bring that audience onto your platform. So again, doing the same thing, just doing it reverse. Vanity marketing is really appealing to the ego of the other person and bringing them onto the platform. This is the second tactic. The third is usually, growth engineering. And I know you have a lot to add here. So growth engineering is really finding out, again, like launching a smaller version of your product, either on marketplaces or on places like Shopify, Airtable, and all of these different places, ranking them there, because then you're competing against a smaller pool of companies, a smaller pool of other competitors. And that is going to be your customer acquisition and all of that process is going to be way easier and cheaper than if you go out there and try to compete with everybody, even whether through organic marketing or inorganic marketing, or even try to pay Google and Facebook to run those ads. What I really don't recommend is you thinking about long-term strategies when you're just starting out, especially from 0 to 10K MRR, because that is getting ahead of yourself. You're still figuring out who your ideal customers are, who you're trying to serve with your product, etc., etc. So don't think about long-term strategies, especially in thinking about things like SEO, unless you're very clear that you have the right product. Don't go for inorganic channels also, because you really have to think about what, especially if you're selling anything more than $500 or $1,000, you have to like really build out a sales funnel. Customers need a lot more education before they can opt in for your solution. And you need to test out that sales funnel. Doing that with paid media is very expensive. So again, don't go for any long-term strategies from 0 to 10K MRR, and don't go for inorganic channels. You have to do unscalable things at this point, and really use this period as a feedback phase where you're learning more about what your customers want, what message is truly resonating with them, and things like that.
Okay, first of all, I think this answer had so many tips inside it. Like anyone listening or watching, just kind of take this, re-listen to it, write some notes, because there are so many great tips here. I have to say, first, a week ago, I filmed a video talking about the 3 strategies that helped us grow when we first got started. And you basically mentioned 2 of them here. So that is great. So first, the launching on marketplaces. I think for us, definitely that's the biggest differentiator. We launched on Shopify. Since then, we've also launched on WordPress and Wix. And you need to find your niche. There are so many bigger SaaS products that you can launch on. And I think this is just, you're playing the SEO game, not on Google, on a much smaller scale, and it makes it so much easier. So I completely agree with this tip. The one thing that we kind of missed out on in the beginning that I think is important for people to pay attention to if they're first time building the SaaS is to not build it with the platform you're launching on in mind. So for example, we launched on Shopify and our products are Shopify targeted. They are built for Shopify, and that's good. But then if we want to launch them on another platform, it's much more difficult technically. But if you build a product as a standalone product and then just make it easy for yourself to integrate it with a few different platforms, that is the best strategy. If you can find an idea that allows you to do that, that's like a good recipe for success. I think a really good example is Poptin, if you're familiar.
You did an interview with the founders recently, right?
They're amazing. They're like, we are looking for our Poptin, the product that could integrate with different places easily. So if anyone wants to watch the video on Poptin, we'll link it somewhere here, but you should definitely check it out. They also have some great tips. And is the thing you talked about with collaborations. So we took it to 2 different spaces. One is an integration, because we're a SaaS product, and there are so many other products in the Shopify ecosystem. We just chose a few that are around our size or bigger, and that makes sense to integrate with our product. We integrate with them, we do co-marketing, and then first of all, you get the first boom of customers coming in from them. But then as you go along, like for years to come, you keep getting 1, 2, 3 installs a month from this product. For example, we have an integration with Klaviyo, which is an email marketing platform. We have an integration with Lux, which is, I think, the biggest product reviews app on Shopify right now. But both of these integrations generate, and many more that we have, generate new customers all the time, plus give our customers extra features and actually improve the product. So it's like a win-win for all sides. And then the other side of collaboration is what you mentioned, which is the Vanity Marketing. I think in 2019, maybe 2020, on BFCM, we did a roundup post on our blog, something super simple. We just reached out to all of the community of Shopify apps. And we told them, we are doing this blog post. Do you want to offer a deal for your customers? We're going to promote it to all of our customers. This is a really good way to kind of just, get new customers possibly. And we got so much traction from that, from these partners who shared the blog post that we created. And it was so successful that we really ended up doing that year after year, because it creates connections between you and other people in your niche, and it gets you new eyeballs to the website and new customers, as well as just, you promote each other, you do some co-promotion that is very organic and authentic. There wasn't anything we were trying to get out of it other than just, that's a good idea for a post. That was the initial idea. That was my kind of take on the tips that you just gave. And I wanted to maybe stop for a second on the community building part, because I think for me personally, this is the part that feels the most difficult or unclear, because with building a community, it's not enough to just give good value, but you also have to get engagement from these people that you're talking to. It's not enough that you are putting out information, you want to also get some engagement. I would love to hear a little bit if you have specific tips that you think would help people trying to build a community around their business or their interests. Are there specific platforms that you think are more useful, or specific ways to actually engage the people in your community?
Sure, Ruth. But before we maybe talk about that, I have a lot of founders who keep asking me one question, and I think you would be able to answer that. So you just mentioned that you collaborated with a lot of popular people in your space, maybe even with things like influencer marketing. I feel like when you're reaching out to other folks, you are the small, nobody knows of you company. So how do you establish that relationship with these bigger partners that are there?
So that's a great question. It's actually, I think, easy. It is definitely easier the more you grow. And there are a few parts for that, in my opinion. First of all, I can speak specifically in the Shopify ecosystem that now it's bigger, but when we first launched, it was a smaller ecosystem. And it still had a few 100,000 apps on it. So it wasn't like it was tiny. And there is a Shopify partners Facebook group. So you have connection to these people. And we would just engage in the group, kind of ask maybe for feedback on the product when we launched, try to reach out to specific founders of apps that we knew about, and just ask to get on a call and just kind of exchange ideas. We're not asking them for anything. We're not asking for help or for, anything from them. We just want to talk to them. Some would say no. And again, we also reached out to people who are not huge. It's not like we're trying to get Elon Musk to sit with us. These are people that do have some time in their lives, and they could make time for us, and they were just really nice and kind and helped us. So this is, if you're in an ecosystem like that, then just put yourself out there and ask for a call and to help would be a good first step. You might get a lot of no's. And then I think the vanity marketing that you mentioned really comes into play, because even when we were really small, once what we offered had a very clear value to the person we were talking to, they would agree. So we tried reaching out to Shopify agencies and to influencers when no one knew about our app, and we were really small, and we did not get a lot of replies. We didn't get a lot of attention, which makes sense. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means you need to really scale, to reach out to a lot of people to get some answers. That's one. And two, start with the smaller ones, like go for the nano and micro influencers, talk to them first, go to the smaller agencies, talk to them, see how you can improve your communication, what questions they have, what resistance they have to work in with you, and then solve that before you go to the bigger ones. But as far as finding other potential partners, whatever it is, influencers, agencies, other products in your niche, anything like that, and find a way to give them some value as well. So for example, if we're doing an ebook with some tips from industry leaders, that is the vanity marketing you mentioned before. You are an industry leader. We are going to market this ebook. We're going to run PPC ads for that. That's also something we offered people. Like if you do this co-marketing with us, we'll pay to get eyeballs on that, and you get a link back from this thing, and you get authority and you just exactly. So that places you in a place of authority. We will market that. All you have to do is agree to work with us. So that's, I think, the main thing. Make it easy for them and give them clear value of what you need, and just be understanding and patient. Like I don't think anyone likes it if you come entitled to their region. So just understand that if they say no, it's not out of a bad place. And they might say yes later, just because it makes sense business-wise. It's nothing personal. And I think that's
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with all the things that you mentioned. And also, you just mentioned that you need to have a very clear idea of what value you can provide and not just what is the ask that you're making. So I guess, yeah, that's very important. One thing that I have seen with reaching out, especially, working with these founders, when you reach out to micro and nano influencers, sometimes they're also like just starting out in their creator space and everything. And all they want is, I mean, some money for whatever campaign that you want them to run or whatever it is. And that usually does not work out. Just one campaign with any influencer or anybody will not work out. That depends on what is the price of the product that you're selling. If it's like, again, too high, you like one campaign wouldn't work. And also, I mean, with any influencers, I think you need at least 2 to 3 different campaigns to just see what is working, what's not, what's converting, and all those things. And again, you have to be very careful of, these might, what is the value proposition? What do you want in exchange? It can't just be more traction. You want sales at the end of the day, especially when you're just starting out. And just having that one-off relationship where you're paying the other person some amount of money for a one-off campaign, that will not turn out well. And that's why, at the start, you just mentioned that, you have to do it at scale. I think, when you have an established brand yourself as the founder, or when you've built a community, that process gets easier. Because a lot of people might say, okay, the founder is there on social media, they have some amount of traction. You also mentioned that your app already like had about 100 customers before you started reaching out. And again, that's also a very important factor. The other person is probably going to go back, and depends on. So there, I have founders who want to reach out to HubSpot and Salesforce and all these different big companies. And again, that you can't just cold email randomly to these big companies and expect a partnership. You really have to spend time building the relationship and then making the ask, probably.
Yeah, it's similar to what we talked about before as far as just marketing, which is like jab, 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 right hook. You don't go out to someone and ask, hey, help me promote my business. I need you to help me, because why would they? If they don't know, they have no reason to. Think about what, I really agree with what you said. Think about what you can bring to the table. How do you help? Offer it to help them. And I also think that maybe there are so many collaborations that you can do. So maybe it's a good idea when you're first starting out to find the collaborations that makes the most sense for your size. Like if you do a list of all the types of partners you could have to market your business, what are the types of partners that it makes sense right now as far as effort, as well as like size differences for them to collaborate with you? A good example, like we said before about launching on platforms, on CMSs. They are your partners. Shopify calls it the partners program. Practically, we're not exactly partners. We are launching on their bigger SaaS platform, but it is a partnership that you can do that doesn't require anything. Like they're not going to tell you no unless there's an issue with the product you're launching. Same thing for when we launched with Klaviyo. We didn't get as much co-promotion as we wanted from them. We were still really tiny when we did that, but we launched. And we could say we have the integration, and we could use this integration to kind of get more customers and more traffic. And they didn't do anything. They just have an open API that we had to work with. So you can find these places where they would work with you, and also find the existing communities. Like if there is a Facebook group that is very active, go there. If Reddit is the place, go there. Building your own community is important, but also like find the existing communities, be a part of them. Or why would people want to kind of engage with you?
Absolutely, yeah.
I also want to add.
Yeah, go ahead. You just mentioned that you have to go not just build your own community, but also go into these communities and provide value and like build engagement and all these things. I think it also ties to the question that you just asked me, that how do you go about building this community? Which is again, everything loops back same in. You can't just be posting about random things about yourself, what you did in the day, and all of those things. You really again have to focus on how can you provide value to the community, which is not just about you posting something, but also going at places where there are conversations already happening, specifically in your target audience, in your space, and then again provide meaningful conversations that add value, and also open up a conversation maybe, or maybe post. Again, there are two bits to it. One is providing very meaningful insights, something where conversations are already happening. And second is, like depolarizing. Again, that's also a bigger discussion of, how are you messaging your product and all of those things, but also like depolarizing and then provide meaningful conversations at places where conversations are already happening.
Yeah, that's I love that. That's great, because sometimes you want to use the places that you're familiar with, but that's not where your community is. So you need to kind of learn. Like if you're in the crypto space, you should probably have Discord. You should probably have a Discord. I'm going to use that. Like if I want to start now a crypto-based product, then I should probably get into Discord, because that's where the real conversation happens, etc. Like politics is probably Twitter, and those kind of examples. I just wanted to add about the influencers that we talked about before. We've had some experience working with influencers in a really different, I guess, tactic than most people have seen. We always try to aim for the macro and nano influencers that are really, micro and nano, that are really smaller, and sometimes they would ask directly for money. Sometimes I also think that some influencers are not fully business oriented, so they would just ask for a sum of money that makes sense to them. But then if you do the math, let's say average view, they don't know how many clicks they would give you, because maybe you're the first kind of collaboration that they have. But average views per video, let's say, or per post, and then how much I would pay you, that doesn't make sense. That makes, I would pay cheaper per view in Google or Facebook. So why would I work with you? But then a lot of them are actually just happy to get an offer for a collaboration, and they are excited to collaborate if they like the product. And then you can kind of find a way, like an affiliate program, which I think is really powerful, and they get commission for any lead that they bring, for any, not lead, but any customer, any paying customer that they bring in, and that can generate them income in the long term, as well as sometimes giving the product for free is really a great incentive. The plants behind you remind me that we used to run a store for these kind of bonsai pots that are like spinning in the air. It's a really cool, beautiful product. It's not a cheap product, and it's just cool. It's eye-catching. It's a unique product. So when we first tried to market it, we used it for affiliates, and we reached out to people who had up to 10,000 followers, usually less. But we offered them the product for free. Again, this is so I don't remember the exact price, but like $200 to $350 per product. So it's a nice value to get that. We would give them the product for free, and we would give them an affiliate link. And all they had to do was create the piece of content that we agreed on to their audience. And so many people were excited just because it's such a cool product. They wanted it. And that's a nice opportunity. And that actually generated a lot of, like, all of it was profitable. All of these little influencers we worked with turned out to be profitable, which was really cool for us. And if we would have continued and done it in scale, I believe we could have gotten to a lot more profits from this kind of marketing. And then you also open the door up for more collaboration with these people. Like, okay, we had one successful collaboration, let's do more. And this time maybe I'm willing to pay because I have some more data about what you can actually provide as far as sales and clicks and visits to the website.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from the thing that you just mentioned, I mean, again, it goes back to the point that you mentioned earlier also, that you need to be very clear on how you want the campaign to go, what you want out of the campaign, and then reach out to these influencers versus, and that's why, we have this program where we are, first of all, educating the founders on, what are the things that they could be doing. One, we have partnered with an agency where we have this very cool client who focuses on how you can look inside of your own customer base and figure out who are influencers in that customer base and use their audience for your product. So, the learning curve goes down because customers are already using your product. They're probably fans or super fans of your brand, and they would be very happy to promote the product. The audience base is going to be small, so it's going to be much more engaged, and you'll get sales rather than just engagement. Because again, the follower base is small. It's a small community. People know each other, and probably the small influencer very often, time and again, gives these recommendations of using this product or that product, and that works out very well. So again, there are all these different things that you can do. With smaller companies, with especially B2C products, it's pretty simple and straightforward. But with B2B companies, again, the same thing gets a bit more complex, and you have to really figure out the process. And that's why probably we thought of creating this program where we educate the founder on, okay, what are the things that they could be doing? Because you really need to, again, understand and be clear about everything yourself before, again, reaching out or even making hires for that matter. I've seen so many people, and maybe we can talk about this. I've seen so many people who do SEO, and again, the man who just think that SEO is the thing that they need to be doing if they want to do something long term. And again, very often you have to research a lot about the space and whether SEO makes sense or not. If you reach out to any agency and just say, okay, we want to do SEO, the agency will be very happy because probably they're getting money and you want to do it for the long run. But you have to figure out if the math makes sense. Putting in thousands of dollars for backlinking and making yourself rank, sometimes even, the search volume, the keyword difficulty, the time and money you would put in, the math does not make sense. You can probably get so much more out of, just running Google ads or Facebook ads or even doing LinkedIn campaigns rather than, trying to do SEO or this long-term thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like we did do SEO from day one, and only now starting to be something we are generating actual leads and installs from. But while we did SEO from day one, we also used some of these kind of growth hacky strategies to get our DR higher faster and not like wait years to get it to actually rank in Google. That being said, we were also very familiar with the niche and knew exactly what topics are relevant. So that was like we while we were just starting out, we actually knew a lot about the niche already. So that was easy for us to decide to do. And also I just enjoy writing. So I was like, let's do a blog. But I agree that when you talk about hiring, sometimes the conversation gets a little like, sometimes I hear founders who just don't have a specific skill or don't know enough about it, and they just want to hire. Now, I think if you are backed by funding, then you can afford to do that. You can hire someone amazing to be the CMO from day one and build a team. But if you're bootstrapped, then that is out of the question. Yeah. You have to learn things yourself, and you will probably eventually not be the best person in the company to do that. But right now, you don't have a choice. So for example, SEO or marketing in general is something that both me and Eric learned. And I was more focused on the content marketing part. So I learned a lot about content marketing in different platforms and what are the best ways to actually provide good content that would generate some leads and installs. And then when we decided to bring in someone to be in charge of content, because I no longer had the time and we had the budget, it took a while. It took me a few months to find the right person. It was super frustrating. It felt at some point I was like, maybe this person in the budget that we have defined doesn't exist. Maybe I can't find someone like that. Maybe I need to bring in a big CMO to build a team. And then eventually you find the right person, and he's still with us and he's amazing. He's in charge of the blog, and now he's also in charge of the entire marketing team. But he didn't start out that way. We brought them on one by one until we were like, okay, this is a team now. We need a team head. Who is the best fit inside the team to be the team head? Let him do that. And that's kind of, I think, how you have to think about it if you're bootstrapping. You have to learn everything you can on your own, as much as you can, because otherwise you might be paying someone so much money for something that you don't even know how to measure. So you're paying all this money and you don't know if they're doing a good job, and you can lose a lot of money that you can't afford to lose when you're in these stages.
Yeah. Right, absolutely. And there's so much that goes into, like being a founder or just like running any business. You have to learn sales, leadership, finance, marketing. So many different things. And again, it's okay not to be good at all of them, but again, you have to be dangerous enough in all of those things to know exactly who should be a right product person, a right marketing person, etc., etc. And again, I have seen even funded companies who don't really get marketing. They do digital sales in the form of, they'll try to get companies to fill out the form, download this ebook, and then they'll pass it on to sales, who will try to cold call people and try selling stuff to teams who are not ready to buy. And marketing is only doing digital sales and hiding behind those 1,000 leads that they've collected, which are of no use, which is actually burning them cash, because the sales teams are doing sales, like I said, with people who are not ready to buy. And this is partly because your attribution software cannot really account for things that are meant to create demand and not just capture demand, which is these forms and MQLs and SQL systems which all of these traditional systems do. So marketing is meant to generate that demand, and your attribution software. So if you put out a LinkedIn post, a CMO or a CFO of a company watches that post, they shut down LinkedIn. 4 days or maybe 2 weeks later, they have the same problem. They Google your company's name and then come to your website and decide to talk to sales. Then your attribution software is only going to say, hey, Google got you this lead. LinkedIn gets no credit at all, right? The social platform is getting no credit at all. And marketers are struggling to, show value out of the things that they are doing. So it's really about, you can't really measure everything out of, how many leads did you get, because again, that's only capturing demand. You also have to think about doing marketing in its true sense, which is also creating a demand. The thing with SEO and then a big problem that I have right now is people who write the content are not subject matter experts. They don't really understand the problem that the customers are going through, which is, again, things that marketers need to be focused on. They need to be focused on, talking to customers, figuring out what is the pain point, and not just be doing SEO things which are meant to be optimized for Google and not for the customer. Because as we are moving in 2022 and beyond, we need to be really obsessed with the customer, understanding what are the problems, what are the challenges that they are facing, not just be obsessed over leads and, like I said, hiding behind all these 1,000 downloads that are crappy, does nothing at all. So yeah, I mean, that's a different conversation. But yes, you have to really understand all these nuances also. Because if you just think that marketing is generating leads, and if you get somebody, a junior person to get you that, at the start, it's going to be okay. But over a period of time, I mean, you're really digging a hole for yourself. Especially if you're a Series A, Series B company just starting out. I mean, there is no reason you shouldn't be focused on creating demand as much as you're doing all these form of digital sales that you're doing. And hey, if you want to do digital sales, if you just want to get leads and do all of these things, there's a way to do that. Let's not hide behind all these shitty leads that we've collected. Let's do it well. Let's tie up with sales and not create this rift between marketing and sales and collect all these shitty leads and then try to waste even time of all our sales reps and account executives. So
first of all, I think this is fascinating. I would love to get a little deeper into what is the difference between marketing and sales and digital sales as you define it. Because in my mind, a lot of the time, sales is cold outreach, and then you get into a sales call, and then you close the deal. That's sales. Maybe the outreach would be a little different. Maybe you could collect the lead, like you said, for a landing page on your website for an ad or something like that. But the thing for me that differentiates sales and I don't know if marketing, but sales and maybe an automatic acquisition channel is that with sales, you have to have someone talking to the customer and closing the deal and doing a demo maybe of the product, while with an automatic acquisition channel, they can just do it themselves. They don't need someone to talk to them. So where does marketing go into this kind of a funnel? What differentiates marketing from sales?
Right. So there are two bits of it. I think when you mention automatic user acquisition process, do you mean the self-serve model, or do you mean you're talking about automating the sales funnel inside of a sales-led company?
No, I mean the automatic self-service process, basically.
Right. So there are companies that are entirely marketing led. You don't need sales there. There you can have all these systems and processes. The entire point of what I was saying is you don't just have to focus on capturing demand, focus a bit on creating demand as well. That is, share your expertise on social media platforms. Most marketers will not do that because they're not incentivized inside of companies to do that. right? And as long as you keep doing that, you're always going to be behind. So you need to like help customers in the buying journey. And that happens way above when they are already looking for a solution. You have to like create that demand, right? So share sheer expertise and help customers in the buying journey rather than telling them when they're already ready, hey, this is what they should be doing. At that time, probably they don't even care. So educate the customers on the problem as much as you're trying to, capture that demand.
Okay, I get what you're saying now. Like, I get it. Because when you do sales disguised as marketing, your only goal is to take them for a funnel. Well, if you just do some organic marketing where you share information, then the end goal is not always to close a deal. It's just to keep us on the potential customer mind until they maybe are ready to make a decision and we're already on their mind.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I have an interesting case that happened to us. A few months ago, we started to do some TikTok marketing. And TikTok is not ideal for us because we are a B2B SaaS company. Our customers are Shopify merchants, and they have an app for Shopify on their phone, but it's not really comfortable. They can technically install the app on their store, but it's not, most people don't do it, and for a good reason. It's just not very comfortable. They manage their store from desktop. And TikTok is a mobile-only app. I mean, they have a website, but I don't know anyone who uses that. So it's only on mobile. And we've been marketing a little bit on TikTok, and we had no idea if it was generating anything. Because while we did have a link and an affiliate link or a discount link on the different TikTok posts, people were not clicking it. Even if they were, they didn't end up installing because they're on their phone. And then we started sending out an email asking people how they found us.
Yeah.
We found out that we got a lot of leads from TikTok. Like, we had no idea. We were completely blind to it because, as you said, they see us on TikTok, they go on to Google or the Shopify App Store or whatever, look for us and end up using, but we have no idea that they came from TikTok. We had no way to color them that this is where they came from. And, there is still a discussion of what is the customer profile that came from TikTok. Are these profitable customers or not? This is something we still don't know. We haven't collected enough data, but it was still enough to figure out that one of our main acquisition channels recently has been TikTok. We were completely blind to it.
It's so nice that you mentioned that. I mean, self-reported attribution, asking from customers, like, where did you hear about us? Like, that helps so much. And, just building the case for, why you need to be doing these things and not just be focusing on, closing leads tomorrow, which is not the way it works at all. And I think, again, it goes back to everything that we were just discussing about, how you need to provide value first and then maybe, think about asking. Don't just be focused on sales. You need to provide sheer expertise and do it for a while. Again, all of these channels that I mentioned or anything, which is truly marketing takes a while to, even show you that data. And that data cannot just be quantitative in terms of, these the leads you got or this is the traction that you have. It can also be qualitative, like what are customers saying, what are the insights that you can collect. And if you go on and ask customers as to, how did they find us or how do they look at products, it'll usually be word of mouth, going like social media channels, different recommendation sites, etc. It's never going to be, searching from Google, reading a blog post that was very insightful. Maybe 1 in 100, but that's usually not the case. It's usually these word of mouth strategies and everything. So I have a lot of founders. What they do is they'll give CMOs and CFOs $100 or $500 coupons to come and sit inside the demo call. That's not gonna work. And they don't want to be sending gift cards to customers who would probably take that and maybe share it on their social media profiles. That's going to give the company a ton of exposure, and then maybe that will get us a few new leads and things like that. Because again, your attribution software will never tell you that these things are working, that this word of mouth is working, that customers liking your product is working. Your attribution software is probably going to tell you, hey, that this person you gave this voucher to came on the demo call. And maybe, 1 out of those 100 vouchers worked out and they decided to, convince the other people in the company that this is the software that they should be getting.
I love that. That's similar to what we've just started doing with TikTok or any kind of mobile marketing. We started giving influencers we work with, or generally speaking, any post that we put on TikTok that is directed people to install, a coupon code where they can basically just enter the coupon code and say, I'm getting 10 off with this specific coupon, and then we know how to attribute them exactly to the person who referred them or to the campaign who referred them. It's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. But the important part is that it gives you enough data to kind of say, okay, things are working. It's not going to be as accurate as any PPC ads that I run where I see exactly the metrics, obviously. By the way, in SaaS, I also think that any paid marketing, also PPC, it's never accurate. We have users who pay us monthly, and Google or Bing or Facebook don't always know to show me that this customer paid X. Maybe they recognize the first time they paid, but they don't pay one time. They're recurring customers. So it's a little more complex for SaaS in general. So you kind of have to live in the gray. We always look for ways to do better reporting and see the full picture. But we are also looking for little hints that show us that things are working so we can at least continue the same efforts.
Yes, absolutely. Technology is sometimes, limiting. And that's why, marketers need to focus more on qualitative data as well as those quantitative data. So again, something that a balance that we have to figure out, not just like, and that brings also us to the point that, marketers overall need to be better business strategists rather than, just being marketers. And that will also help us with a lot of things like, rather than just focusing on leads, focusing more on, how much pipeline did we generate, how many customers did we get, are we helping customers in the best possible manner and things like that.
Yeah, I agree. You have to know the product and the company that you are marketing. Otherwise, it's just not good enough because you don't understand the KPIs fully and you don't understand the value statement behind the product fully. We've tried to work with a few different agencies, mostly off of Upwork, to do some social media marketing in the past. Every time it felt like a cookie cutter template that they had that might work. Let's say if you're an e-commerce store, these are niches that are easier to understand because it's consumer products and the funnel is really simple and clear. So maybe for them it would work. But then if you go into a more complex product, then you have to learn it. And I feel like a lot of the times these cookie cutter agencies don't necessarily even understand that there is more complexity. They market themselves as agencies that can help you with your SaaS, let's say, while in actuality they can't. Not because they don't want to, not because they have bad intentions. They just don't fully understand the niches or the products. And I think that goes back to what we talked about as far as you as the founder have to have some basic skills in the area, or you will not recognize that this is not helpful, that you're throwing away money for nothing. So that's
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I've taken enough of your time. This was really interesting, and I feel like we can continue talking about so many topics. So maybe we'll have to do another one at some point. But thank you for joining. And we call this kind of interviews SaaS superheroes. So the obvious question would be, if you were a superhero, what superpower would you want to have?
I don't know, honestly. I would like to help more people, be less afraid of trying out new things and just be helpful. Awesome. I don't know if that's a superpower also. But I'm generally very happy. I would not want any superpower per se. I would just human things as to, I don't know, just be less afraid of trying out new things. Go out. There's so much to do. There's never been a better time to be alive. Just go out, try out different things. Don't be afraid. Provide value. As long as you're giving value, everything is going to be fine.
Awesome. I love that. You're going for a human power. It doesn't have to be super. The super is what you do with it, and not the power itself. That's a really nice touch. I like it.
That's a beautiful thing you said. Super is what you do with it.
Yeah. No, you said it. I just rephrased it. So lastly, before we finish, what would be a question you would want to ask our viewers as far as the topics that we talked about, or something that you think they should be asking yourself, or that you would be interested to see in the comments?
Sure. So I think I would love to know as to, when was the last time a founder watching this or a marketer watching this talk to their customers? Because I think that's very important. Perhaps like the most important bit, understanding your customers, their motivations and desires, what they're looking out in your product. So really, I would love to know, how many marketers watching this when was the last time you talked to your customers, or founders watching this, when was the last time you talked to your customers?
That's a great question. It made me ask myself now, and I'm going to answer, and everyone answer in the comments as well. But just as a fun little side story, we have our support agents are all from Ukraine, used to all be from Ukraine, and for a month they were not available because of everything going on. So we didn't have a support team, and we ended up doing, me, Eric, and the product managers did support. Like every day, someone else was in charge of support, and I ended up talking to a lot of customers. And we actually decided after this experience that from now on, once a month, we are going to do support. Each one of us is going to have a day of support once a month, because talking to your customers is super important. You learn about blind spots that you just don't have when you're not in the trenches with the customers. So that's a great question.
Yeah.
So guys, when was the last time you spoke to your customers? And if it was a while ago, what are you going to do to change it? Let us know in the comments. And now to finish it off, where can people find you? We will link everything relevant down below, but let them know.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ruth. So, right now everything is free. I also love to catch up with founders for a 30-minute conversation about what they're struggling with, anything that I can help, anything that I can provide free. I have my own agency and this digital product that I'm still working on. It's not yet open to public, but I let people know when it is. Right now, people can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I have my own YouTube channel. Not as good as yours.
No, it's great. I've watched a few. You have a great channel.
Yeah,
we're going to link it below. Go follow her. If you like this channel, you're going to like hers.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. So YouTube, LinkedIn, LinkedIn is the best place to text me or just like send me a message and to talk about anything that you like.
Awesome. All right. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I think this was a really interesting conversation, and I'm sure people are going to enjoy it. So thank you and have a great day.